welcome. It is our Halloween edition of the Women's Room. I am your host, Casey O'Day, and with us today, John Albert Carl and Beth Ann Carl. We use their full names because they've used the initials from their first and middle names to form JABA Paranormal Investigators. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And today we are talking ghosts. You are investigators, and I guess my first question is Blair County haunted?
Very much so.
Yeah.
He says with a smile. All right, let's start off with a bang. What is the most haunted spot in Blair County?
In Blair County, I would have to say the U.S. Hotel.
Oh, okay. Tell us a little bit more. I love that place. I've been there many times.
There have been reports of a gentleman on the upper floors that walks around carrying an axe. We actually believe we have a thermal image picture of that gentleman. We were out there during a Halloween session a couple of years ago, and they had a hallway blocked off where you couldn't go back because of water damage. But where the table was in the hallway, the gentleman was standing on the other side of the table against the wall. As you come around the corner, you could see him, but if you moved closer to the table, he would disappear. So we all backed out of the hallway, and I grabbed a thermal imaging camera and come around the corner and snapped a picture, and you can see a heat image of a gentleman standing there. So that was kind of freaky.
That is a little creepy, freaky. Yeah. So the U.S. Hotel in Hollidaysburg has been there a long time. Upstairs did used to be a hotel. Now just the downstairs is open, and it's a wonderful restaurant. Oh. Once upon a time, it was the place where people would get off railroad duty and come in for a drink in the middle of the afternoon before they went home to their families. So how long ago was the upstairs used? It's been a while, hasn't it?
Quite a while,
yeah.
And isn't there something a little freaky about a picture that hangs there, that hangs in the U.S. Hotel? Oh. I think I'm mixing that up with someplace else. Somebody disappeared from a picture that hangs at the U.S. Hotel?
I never heard that
story. One I haven't heard of.
No. All right. Well, that's one to get on then.
Yeah,
that's one to get on.
We need to speak with Mr. Delosier.
All right. Oh, he's a great guy.
Yes.
I'm glad he let you go and investigate.
Yes.
So let's start at the beginning. You both have been investigating together since 2009, and that's not by accident, is it?
No.
No, you're a married couple second time around.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we were married for a couple of years, got divorced for 15 years. I traveled across the country. Beth found me back on the internet and pulled me back to Pennsylvania where we got remarried. Decided to go ghost hunting on our honeymoon. We went up to New Hampshire to ghost hunt in a haunted inn up there owned by the Taps owners. So.
Oh, it's owned by the folks who own Taps?
Yes.
Who used to have that Ghost Hunters television show?
Right.
That's
yeah. Did you get to hang out with those guys?
We missed them, I think, by 2 days. Yeah.
But the first night we were there, we were the only people in the whole building. So they let us have access to every room in the building except, of course, the bar and the kitchen. We done a lot of investigating in there. Come across a little bit of evidence with some stuff being moved on a pillow. We ran voice recorders all night in our room while we were sleeping.
I can't tell you how romantic this sounds.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we have actually a recording of the voice recorder on the nightstand and a small LED flashlight there, and you can hear, unfortunately, both of us snoring, and you hear the flashlight roll across the end table and then pick up and drop right in front of the recorder.
So that's a little weird because there's like no wind blowing unless it's just you guys snoring.
Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah.
Assuming it wasn't that.
Yeah.
Well, so let's go back here. John, when did you first start experiencing ghosts? I mean, is this something that goes back to your childhood? You experienced a ghost and became interested, or?
No, I actually became interested in reconnecting with Beth, and at that time, Taps was just up and coming, and they were starting out their filming career in Altoona. Mm-hmm. And my sister actually worked at the Econo Lodge at the time, and they were staying out there, so she got to meet with them and was telling me about what they were doing and everything, so it piqued my interest in the things. At the time, I was a huge skeptic, so
really,
my part of the team was to come in and kind of prove that these things weren't going on and eliminates all natural possibilities before we found out that things were paranormal.
I think it's good to have a skeptical mind when it comes to these sorts of things because you don't want to be fooled by that which you see or hear. And Beth, how about you? When did your interest peak with his?
No, I actually have had personal experiences. I want to say between the age of 9 and 11 is whenever my personal experiences, I guess you would say the gift. Just visions and being able to communicate with deceased loved ones. Empathetic. Many times I can see visions of things that are going to happen in the very near future. Just things like that. And then throughout the teenage years, I didn't hone in on my gift, so I'm not very crafty with it as much as I probably would be if I would have honed in on it. But society teaches you not to believe in that stuff, So really just didn't hone in on it. And then whenever he was interested in just getting back into it, just reopened everything.
So when you're a kid and you're experiencing that, was it scary or was it just like, hey, dead people, good to see ya?
At first it was very odd because I had seen my grandfather and I knew he was in the hospital, but I had knew that before anybody had told me that he had passed away because he was visually there talking to me before I was told. And then after that, just a couple of things had clicked that I knew something was different.
But it wasn't scary?
No.
And then you just kind of grew out of it. And then did your interest start before you and John started doing the investigating?
No.
Or it was latent? And
No, before he and I started investigating, there would be visions and I would see things and I just wouldn't really pay attention to them.
So then TAPS comes to town, and the first time they visited here, they visited a home in Altoona where the woman was experiencing a haunting. And then they came back a second time where they went to the Mishler Theater and they went to the Railroaders Museum.
Yes.
So the first time they come to town, and these guys, it was their first season, wasn't it, if I remember correctly?
Yes,
it was their first show.
Yeah,
the first two episodes of their show.
I think that influenced a lot of people who said, I want to go see ghosts. Yeah. And they used a lot of equipment, and you guys pack up a lot of equipment, too. I was looking at some of your stuff, your tools of the trade. It included a teddy bear.
Yes.
Yes, that's Boo Buddy.
Boo Buddy.
We actually like to use him at the Altoona Railroaders Museum. We have a little girl in the gift shop there that she seems to be a little bit mischievous. She'll knock toys and stuff off the shelves. The people will come in the morning and find stuff laying around. We've been in the gift shop at night and experienced something falling on the floor and go over and find puzzles and stuff knocked over. She likes to actually play with me. I'll get out a set of dowsing rods and I'll sit there on the floor and I'll get her to manipulate the rods however I ask her to do so.
Now, I know what dowsing rods are, but not everybody does. So explain what a dowsing rod is. A set, they're a pair.
Yeah, there's a pair of metal rods that are bent in an L shape, and they have beads on the handles that you hold on to, and it allows the rods to move on their own. And we'll have the rods open up to answer for no or close up to answer for yes.
So you hold the rods in your hand, and you ask the spirit a question.
Correct.
And then you expect the spirit to move the rods in a certain way to give you a yes or no answer.
Yes.
Right. Now, we've had the public come along with us on investigations, and we actually give them the dowsing rods so that they know that we're not manipulating them by making them move.
Yes.
And we'll also set two people back to back so that you can't see each other and ask a question and have the spirits move both sets of rods in the same fashion.
Yeah,
so
get the
everybody
same
can
answer
see.
with both of them back to back. And yeah.
So the spirits want to talk to us.
Most definitely.
Most of them do, yeah.
Or at least the ones that are hanging around. Yes. All right, we're going to talk more about investigating ghosts here in Blair County with JABA Paranormal Investigators coming right up on the Women's Room on WFBG.
This is the Women's Room with Casey O'Day on WFBG.
Welcome back. The Women's Room is sponsored by Fusco Riley Reismeyer Financial Group and by Trade Secrets, unique handmade body care products. With me on the Women's Room today, it's our Halloween edition. We are talking to Jabba Paranormal Investigations, John Albert Carl and Beth Ann Carl, husband and wife team who investigate ghosts. Now, John, you said when you first went into this, you were a skeptic. So what convinced you that ghosts exist? Because it wasn't your wife.
It actually took me till 2013. We went up to Duffy's Tavern in Boalsburg to do an investigation. There they've had a lot of activity. Mr. Duffy himself actually died in the hallway, and we had set up cameras in the hallway the first time we were there, and it would not record in that hallway. You'd move the cameras anywhere else in the building, and that camera would work, but if you put it in the hallway, it went black. After a few times going up there, the cameras would start working in that hallway for us. But we went in because of a report of a little girl in the one dining hall area, and we went in to investigate her, took a flashlight and was trying to roll it across the floor, and every time that we'd roll it, it would just stop. But if we ask it to roll back, the flashlight would come back to us. And one investigator was sitting there and asked if they could roll the flashlight back to us, and on the recording you hear a yeah. And then all of a sudden you hear this ha ha ha, plain as day. And the flashlight rolls back and the investigator says, "That was awesome." And the spirit says, "Thank you." And it's a little boy's voice. We never heard it while we were there, but we knew that the flashlight had come back on the floor. So I got home and started looking at the evidence. And that's when we heard this little boy on there. And it's actually brought us to tears to hear it, because it's like you and I talking right now. It's that clear.
Yeah.
There's a video of that on your website,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And you can hear it. Yeah.
By the time
We found out that it was not a little girl. He actually talked with us. We found out his name is Michael. He was a 4-year-old boy. He's from the 1800s. But back then, they dressed little boys in dresses till they were 5 years old.
So wait, he's talking to you? Like, wait a minute.
Yes.
Tell me, explain that to me.
Well, the bad problem is about us getting the confirmation. We had started packing up our equipment and turned off our recorders. So we learned the hard way, don't turn off your recorders until you get home. But as we're packing up, we're still talking to him. And after we realized that it was a little boy, because he had kept on telling us, Michael, his name was Michael,
And this is something you can hear?
on the recording.
On the recording?
Yes.
Okay.
But no, when we got home, we heard him laughing. But while we were there, we did hear the playback on the spirit box of Michael, because we heard it there.
So you're recording,
Yes.
and then you're listening back while you're there.
Right.
So audibly, while you're standing there, you
Yes.
don't hear somebody say, "I'm Michael." You hear it on the recording.
Right. It's a 3-second delay. I forget the name.
Recorder.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a 3-second delay recorder. And so I said, as we were getting ready to leave the building, I said, "Do you want us to tell everybody that you're a little boy and not a little girl?" And he screamed. You could hear, "Of course!" like at the top of his lungs. And we were like, "We'll make sure that we do that for you." But to reiterate what he had mentioned about us bringing to tears, by the time we had got home, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. So we call up the other investigator that was rolling the flashlight back and forth. And like he said, her and I were just in tears. We're like, "Oh my goodness, we have to go down and get him. Who is taking care of this little boy?" We're thinking, "Oh my goodness, somebody needs to go take care of him." And then we started laughing like, what are we going to do?
What are you going to do? You can't, this isn't like a stray cat.
Yeah.
You can't go take care of the little ghost.
But knowing that nobody else was in that room and you can hear that voice so clearly, that's what turned me around on it.
Okay. Well, that's powerful stuff.
Yes. And he's came out several times since then.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
He's very comfortable with us.
The little boy.
Yes,
So you've
Michael.
gone back to visit Michael.
Several times.
yeah.
So what does Michael tell you about?
He told
Why
us
is he
out
still
there on
here?
Stagecoach by
Yeah.
horse. We
Right.
asked him who his mom and dad were, and of course he says mom and dad because
Yeah.
he's 4 years old. That's
Yeah,
how
right.
you know mom
Yeah.
and dad.
Yeah.
But we haven't found out why he's there,
No.
why he sticks around. I don't know if he likes the place, if he's stuck there.
Yeah.
Some spirits can get stuck in a location. Some spirits just like where they're at, and that's where they want to stay at.
Yeah.
But those answers we have not been able to come up with.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Don't you wish they could just say, well, here, my mom and dad were so and so, and you can look it up here? That would be
Yes.
really great.
Right.
Is it ever scary?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah. Bauman Cemetery in Tyrone, that was probably my scariest. You can
Yeah,
elaborate on that. if
we
you want
had
to.
2 investigators that were on our team that had just turned 18, and we'd found out that they had been up in this cemetery when they were younger and thought that they were messing with a demon up there at that time. And we didn't know this till after our incident at the cemetery. We were sitting around a grave site and we were trying to make contact, and we hear this low growl coming from the wood line. Kind of sets the back of your hair.
So this is not on tape. This is like you can hear the
You can
growl.
hear this.
Yeah.
I have a flashlight that I just lit up the whole area, and there's nothing out there. I turn off the flashlight, and you hear this rustling in the wood line and the growl again. And to me, I always say it's like if you're a female and you're walking down an alley at night and you just know something is not right, or if you're going into combat and you're about to be ambushed, you just get that feeling that there's something deathly wrong. So at that point, we just pack up our stuff, say our closing prayers, and remove ourselves from the situation.
Well, I noticed on your website, you're very clear you do not do demons. So you have had these experiences. You know they're out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are they?
They are just souls that have never been in human form. Their whole purpose is to hurt you, to kill you.
What?
They are definitely evil.
Okay, so how do we avoid them? Because, like, I don't want anything to do with them.
There's really no avoiding them. I mean, it's just going into their area or them coming to you. I mean,
You just stay away.
it's like running into a bad person on the street. Sooner or later, you're going to end up encountering that person, or you're just never going to run into them.
So do I need to, like, wear garlic, or is any of that going to help me?
Well, I always say that in this business, we're like electricians. I'll put up a ceiling fan in your house, but I'm not messing with your main panel because that's an area that we're not professionals in. And when it comes to demons and how to take care of that, we don't have the profession to do that.
Understood. That's a totally different thing.
Yeah. We do have people that we reach out to that do usually help the people.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So if somebody feels that they're experiencing that sort of entity, there is help. It's just not you.
Correct.
You're not
Yeah,
equipped for that.
Yeah, we just choose not to do that. We've known many people that have had the evil spirits attached to them, and their lives are not very good. Living.
But they reach out. Hopefully they reach out and find people like you who can put them in a direction that's a little better.
We do have a lot of people that do reach out to us and know that we don't, but then they say, can you
get us help?
Yeah. So we've helped many people that way also.
So you do homes? You guys go into people's homes when they feel that their homes are haunted?
Homes, businesses on a personal level, as far as going in and seeing if something's there for them. We do the fundraising aspects, but we'll go into a home. We have an application form on our website, and it's basically to root out those people that just want to see what we're doing,
Right.
or that aren't really having experiences but just want to have the ghost
Put you guys to the
experience in
test or
there.
something, yeah.
Yeah, so
we
the application
get that
just
a
kind
lot.
of ask a bunch of questions that we know what's going on if we do have to go in. Then we call you back up and find out if your answers are going to be the same whenever we're talking to you on the phone. And then we'll go in and kind of see what the situation's like before we set up a true investigation for you.
So you take a little, like a pre-investigation. If somebody contacts you and says, my house is haunted. And I mentioned this to you earlier. I got a text from a woman who said, you guys were so professional. You never made her feel stupid. Because, if you say to somebody, I feel like my house is haunted, you might get, the side eye. Like, what? Are you kidding me?
Right.
Because the ghost thing can be weird. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, if somebody says to you, my house is haunted, you're always skeptical.
Right.
Because if we can't see it and we can't hear it, we're not convinced it's there. But she said you guys were incredibly professional and that the activity died down in her house after you visited. Is that typical?
It can be.
Yeah. Because a lot of times when we're talking to the spirits, if we can feel their presence, because a lot of times I'll walk into the home and I can feel where a lot of their activity is. I don't like to know that from the homeowner, so I'll like walk through and I just sense it, and they were like, yeah, that's like where the highest activity is. But a lot of times just us being there and us communicating and letting the spirit know that the family doesn't, sometimes they mind that they're there, especially if they're scaring the children or their pets. And then other times they're like, we don't care. They can be here. Just, live with us. Just realize this is our home now, not yours type thing. Mm-hmm. And then other times we just say they don't want bothered. And then that's usually whenever they don't bother with them anymore once we leave. So it's amazing how just simply just coming in and just talking with them.
So sometimes it sounds like just the acknowledgement that they're there can help.
Right.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So when you do set up an investigation, when you go into somebody's home and you're going to do this,
yes,
what do you do? What happens?
We'll go in and I like to get a reading because a lot of our equipment will be based off of the electromagnetic field in the house. So I like to make sure it's not bad wiring, anything going wrong there. So I'll get a base reading with the equipment so that we know what we're looking at before the investigation starts. Then we'll go in, we'll set up infrared cameras throughout the house. We'll set up different pieces of equipment, recorders. We have what's called a spirit box, which is basically a small radio without an antenna on it. It runs through the AM/FM channels at 1 to 300 milliseconds per channel. It'll create white noise and basically gives the spirits something to react off of to be able to speak through to us. We'll run 2 or 3 of those at the same time, running it on either AM or FM, different bands, different directions, different speeds, so that we're looking to get the same answer off of both or all 3 boxes so that we know that we're getting a true answer, not just picking up static or a radio station at the time. And I always say whenever we're doing something like that, I like to get 3 specific answers to 3 specific questions. So that way I know that I'm talking with a spirit and not just coincidence that, hey, have you been here long? And you hear a yes. Well, you might have thought you heard a yes, but you're not sure.
Is it always the same questions?
No, depending on the situation.
Yeah.
But I like to get 3 specific answers to 3 questions so that I know that we've actually made contact. If I don't get those 3 again, I'm the skeptic. I kind of try and roll it out from there.
He has the last say. Even if myself and another investigator or somebody on a public event feel that we've all heard the same thing and he doesn't hear it, or he doesn't hear it when we play back the audio video, he says, nope, can't.
No, men's hearing isn't as good as a woman's, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, just putting that out there.
Yeah.
I think that's really fascinating. So I want to hear more stories. What are some of the other places you've investigated? I'm sure you've been to Baker Mansion, right?
Oh my, yes.
Yes, we actually have a picture. I'm not sure if I put it up on the website or not, but I know it's on my Facebook page. A picture of a mirror in the mansion where the person's taking the picture and you see the wedding dress in the mirror, but at that time the wedding dress was not even in the building. They had it removed for storage purposes. So it was kind of
And that picture's
amazing.
on your Facebook page?
Yes, it is.
Oh, now I'm going to have to go find that. I love Baker Mansion so much.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge skeptic of orbs because they can be dust, they can be insects. You really have to look into what's going on with it. So we look for specific types of movement, and then I'll go even further and look for wing movement to make sure it's not a bug or anything. But
Yeah, and to be specific, orbs became really the focus of people when digital film. Well, it's not film if it's digital. When digital cameras became very popular, people started seeing little things that they called orbs, little round blobs of light in their pictures.
Yeah.
And it was very popular to believe that those orbs were spirits that were crossing in front of the camera at a time. And maybe sometimes they are, but you're saying not always.
most of the time they're not. And with the Baker Mansion, we have footage of one of the main rooms on the first floor where an orb actually crosses the doorway, meets up with another orb, turns and goes in the opposite direction. The two of them go together, and they split at the other side of the doorway, and one goes into the room and one goes out of the room. So something like that is a sign to me that it's unusual activity for it to meet up with another one and then go in the same direction.
But how do you know it's not bugs?
To have something like that, like I said, we'll take and blow up the footage.
Right.
Okay.
And look for wing movement, things like that.
He'll slow it down.
No, I'm not. I wasn't trying to be smart aleck.
That's okay.
Because that's the thing that I look at when people send us videos or pictures to see if we can figure out if it might be a natural occurrence.
Yeah, because those orbs, whenever they became really popular, I was always a little skeptical about that. I was like, well, yeah, but this is digital photography. It's new. Maybe it's a spirit, or maybe, a speck of dust, because I didn't know that much about digital photography. Nobody did. And it doesn't seem to happen as much anymore. Right. I think it was the early digital photography where it seemed to happen a lot.
Right.
Am I wrong about that?
Well, no, depending on the lighting situation, like with our IR cameras at night, it'll pick up because it's reflecting off of that infrared light shining out there. So you'll catch that a lot on the cameras.
So what gets you excited when you go into a home or you go into a bar or whatever, and you're there late at night? You're there late. You don't go in during the middle of the afternoon. For some reason, the spirit's like late at night when we should all be sleeping.
Well,
it's
sometimes
easier to hear
like
it's a quieter situation.
Right.
And because they travel, we believe that the spirits travel in a different light realm, which is why you can't see them most of the time with your normal eye. So the infrared and the ultraviolet lights that we use actually give it a lot better viewing on the camera. Mm-hmm. So they operate a lot better at the evening hours.
So what gets you excited when you go in? You probably, as a skeptic, you keep your expectations low.
It's usually once we make that first contact, the adrenaline starts flowing, and then I have to kind of pull myself back again and start trying to get those answers again, try and make sure that what we're dealing with is actual contact. Mm-hmm. We'll get readings off of different equipment that'll just kind of get your blood going and get excited. But then you got to stop and say, hey, was it another piece of equipment setting this off? Like, I know for a fact that we have a REM pod, which is a small disc, and it has 4 lights on it.
Okay.
It emits a small electronical pulse out of it. And if anything breaks that pulse, it'll set off the lights.
Okay.
So, what we do is, if I'm in another room, I can set off one of my radios to contact another team member. If I'm close enough, that radio frequency will break that pulse and set it off. So you have to know how your equipment interacts with your other pieces of equipment.
Right.
I know that's all really technical and really sciencey. But emotionally, what gets you excited, Beth?
Oh, just that feeling whenever you just get that chills all through your body from your head to your toe, or you actually feel a spirit touching you, or just behind you. I've felt spirits hugging me.
Do you like that?
Depends on the situation that I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm like open to it, yeah.
See, I'm sitting here saying, you know what, y'all, spirits, really nice, great, but just keep your hands to yourself.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I don't really want to see you.
Yeah, that is one thing we do on our public investigations. We I always ask, is there anybody that does not want touched? And then we make sure whenever we go throughout the investigation that we tell the spirits they're not allowed to pull energy from that person or touch that person. But then a lot of times by the end of the night, the people that say they don't, they say, yeah, I want involved, because everyone else is having fun.
Me.
Yeah, everyone else is having fun.
I want those tingles down my spine.
Right. It's very interesting just to watch the public come on these events.
Now, if somebody does change their mind at the beginning, they're like, nope, don't touch me. Yeah. At the end, they're like, oh my gosh, please. Right. Do the spirits comply? Are they cooperative?
Right.
All depends on the spirit.
Yeah.
Again, you're dealing with people that have passed on.
I know,
so
but
you're
you would
gonna
think
have
that
those
they would be better and
personalities.
smarter than us on the other side. You know, you would expect that
Not
they
always.
would. So how stupid is as stupid does, even on the other side.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed to hear that, to tell you the truth. Do they ever follow you home?
I don't think so. I mean, we have an opening prayer and a closing prayer, so I don't think we've had any follow us home. I mean, we personally do have at least 2, if not 3, in our home.
You do? What are their
Yeah.
names? Where are they from?
Oh, I don't know what their names are.
don't know their names?
Well, we don't investigate our own home. It was just by accident that we found. It's an older lady, and we described her to one of the neighbors, and she knew right away, of the lady. And then the gentleman, we don't know, if he was the husband or we're not really sure.
Yeah,
but.
we have a dog that we lost 2 years ago, but she would go right over to our stairwell and just start acting up crazy, and we'd tell the spirit not to upset the dog, and all of a sudden she would calm down and she would just lay there and watch from the stairway to the back door. And since she's passed on, we've gotten 2 more dogs, and they have both reacted the exact same way. So we know something is moving around there that they're seeing.
You hear that a lot from people, that our pets seem to be able to see them a whole lot better than we do.
Right.
And maybe that's because they haven't been told that they can't see them.
That's correct. I bet.
I've also
yeah.
heard that like dogs can see in the ultraviolet light range, so they're probably able to see that movement in the daytime where we can't.
Do you ever encounter ghost pets? Because I've heard stories. I've had listeners tell me about their ghost pets.
I've heard stories of it, but I don't
I
think.
think that one home that we investigated in Johnstown, he did have feelings of his pets, and then a couple of the pictures that he showed us. I mean, we didn't. I mean, it was.
I've had listeners call me up and tell me
Yeah.
about seeing ghost pets in their homes. And the closest thing I've ever seen to a ghost, and this isn't to say I want to see ghosts because I don't, but the closest thing I've ever seen has been pets that have passed, and I will see a streak go through the living room. Or at one time I saw what looked like footprints walking on the bedspread.
Right. Yeah.
And that's about the closest I want to come
Yeah.
to seeing the ghosts. No offense. I love them.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be hanging with them. We're talking with Jabba Paranormal Investigators today on the Women's Room on WFBG, and we'll be back with more right after this.
The Women's Room. It's talk that matters with Casey O'Day on WFBG.
Welcome back. We are talking ghosts today. It's the Halloween edition of the Women's Room. I am your host, Casey O'Day. With us, John Albert Carl and Beth Ann Carl, who make up Jabba Paranormal Investigators. They are ghost hunters. Good morning to you both. I'm so happy to have you both here.
We're glad to be here today.
Well, you just told me during the break about a ghost that I wasn't aware of, and it's at Horseshoe Curve.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'd gotten asked by a couple people about going up there because they had encounters with spirits going through the tunnel. So we decided one day to go up and check it out to see what was going on.
So you go up to the Horseshoe Curve. At what time of night does this start?
Oh, that might have been 10 or 11.
Okay, so you're going up late at night.
Right.
to the tunnel at the Horseshoe
Yeah.
Curve, and that's not scary.
No. John was probably about 3 or 4 feet in front of myself and the people that were with me, and we were probably like arm lengths away from the other people that were with me.
you're
I think
in
there
the
was
tunnel?
like 2 or 3 other people with me, and I just felt a pull on my jacket, and I said, I'm not going to say the person's name. Did you just pull my arm? Did you just pull my jacket? No. Well, walk a couple more steps, and then I reached out, and wasn't close enough that they could touch me or I could touch them. So I knew like it wasn't.
So it wasn't the people who were with you.
Right. So then I walked maybe like 2 more steps, and then the pull was even tighter.
In the dark tunnel.
I mean, it was light.
At
Well,
10
you were in the
o'clock?
tunnel, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's lit. I mean, it wasn't like dark, but. And I actually fell back, not like landing on my back or anything, but I stumbled backwards a good 2 to 3 feet like I was pulled backwards.
So is that a trickster or someone who wants your attention or somebody who's kind of a jerk in the afterlife?
I think they just wanted our attention.
Yeah. It just, some spirits just want you to know that they're there.
So there's a spirit hanging out in the tunnel. I mean, that stinks. If you gotta be earthbound and you're hanging out in the tunnel and there's nobody around to talk to you, I guess, you'd want somebody's attention.
Right. Yeah.
So what did you do while you were there? Did you talk to him or her?
Well, by the time we got to the other end of the tunnel, for some reason there would seem to be a lot of traffic. So we were very cautious of continuing to walk through the tunnel. So we sort of called it a night after that, and then we went to another location.
Now, we talked a little bit off the air about the White Lady of the Buckhorn, and that's something that you guys have never investigated. Maybe someday you will.
Yeah.
It's a legend that's persisted forever, although I personally have never talked to anybody who's actually seen the White Lady of the Buckhorn.
Right.
We have songs about it. We have websites about it.
Right.
We have no pictures of her.
Right.
And I don't think we even have historical evidence of her existence.
Right.
It's a legend.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, you hear different things. She was coming home from a wedding or her marriage
or something like that.
So many, many things.
So what's the one thing that you hear from most people when it comes to ghosts in their house? You're looking at me like, well, we hear so much.
Yeah, I think for me, I pick up on a lot of just the aggravating noises that it makes late at night, keeping people awake. I actually had a boss that told me that he believed his son had passed. His son had passed away, but he believed that his son was in his house. They were infants at the time, but every night he would go and lock up the house and go upstairs, and a music box would be playing, and it would just play for a couple minutes and stop. But it was every night at the same time. And it had no batteries in it, nothing like that. It was one of these wind-up things. And he said it was just odd, and it went on for 1 year exactly, and then just all of a sudden stopped. So he was kind of curious about that. But to me, it's just the noises that they end up hearing.
Now, did that gentleman find that comforting, or?
He did. He was able to tell his wife that he thought it was their son. And, of course, it was twin boys. So it kind of made him a little bit more at ease, especially with the other twins still being there, that they felt that he was watching over his brother.
Yeah, that's kind of actually really sweet, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Do you find anything comforting about hanging out with ghosts, Beth?
Oh.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, especially if it's somebody that's passed that I have known personally, or a relative. It's just good to know that they still want to be able to talk with us and communicate with us.
If somebody you personally know has passed over and reaches out to you, how do they do that?
Sometimes it's just, it could be any time of the day. Sometimes it's visions at nighttime whenever I'm sleeping. So a lot of times you have to, when you wake up, was it a dream or was it really a vision? Because a lot of my visions are in the evening time. So.
And they don't trouble you?
Sometimes they do whenever they're trying to get a message to somebody.
Can you shut it off?
Oh, there was this one time it was an older lady, and I had no idea who she was trying to, and I still don't know to this day. And it was for a couple of days. She was trying to
get your attention?
Yes. And
so what did she do?
She was just aggravating me, I guess, aggravating me while I was trying to sleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you found a way to shut her off? And she went away?
After maybe a week or two.
So what do you do? In your head, you're just saying, go.
Yeah.
Go. Be gone.
Yeah.
Do you do the saging or anything like that?
No.
No, you just...
No, I have. I've never have, but...
No, I know from living out in Arizona and being around the tribal units out there that the Indians believe in using the sage and stuff. Mm-hmm. And to me, I'm a firm believer that works if you know how to use it. I learned that you have to start from the top of the house and work your way down, because it's like taking a fire hose to somebody and trying to push them out. So if you're starting from the bottom floor and moving up, all you're doing is pushing them to the top floor. But if you're working from the top of the house down, you can move the spirits out. But we have never personally done that.
And it's mysterious how that even works. It's a little bit like garlic and vampires. What is it about garlic that would keep a vampire away? And what is it about sage? Or is it just a means of communication? Is it just a message that you send? It's not actually the sage that has power. It's the power that you're infusing into the situation. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, that I couldn't tell you either.
We're talking with JABA Paranormal Investigators today. It's our Halloween edition of the Women's Room with John Albert Carl and Beth Ann Carl. And we'll be back with more on the Women's Room right after this.
This is the Women's Room with Casey O'Day on WFBG.
Welcome back. The Women's Room is sponsored by Fusco Riley Reismeyer Financial Group and by Trade Secrets unique handmade body care products. Today, we're talking ghosts with John Albert Carl and Beth Ann Carl, JABA Paranormal Investigators. The JABA is JABA. That's John Albert and Beth Ann. I love that you have named yourselves JABA Paranormal Investigators. Now, to be clear, you are a nonprofit group.
Yes.
Correct.
About 3 years ago, we became nonprofit.
Yeah, we found the public's interest in ghost hunting, and we wanted to help out different organizations, Humane Society, the Teen Shelter, places like that. So we decided to bring the public in for an investigation. We charge between $25 and $40, depending on the place, the amount of activity that's there. And we turn all that money over to whatever organization that we're helping out. We keep none of it for ourselves.
That's pretty awesome, guys. That's really awesome. First of all, it's incredibly affordable for people who might feel that they do need an investigation. And second of all, this is something that you're doing because you're passionate about it and you love it and not for a profit. And when you go about this, you go into it as skeptics. You don't want to prove anything. You
Right.
want to find out what's there.
Yeah, like I said, I'm one of the bigger skeptics of the group, and I want to go in there and see what's going on. But we're not putting this stuff out there to say, hey, look, we've got this ghost or this ghost, because then with the popularity, people start to fake things just to keep that attention. And we're going out there, and I like to just post what I find that we cannot explain, and you take your own opinion of it. We have those people that don't believe they're a ghost. We're not there to try and change their mind. We just want to show what we found and kind of increase our education on it.
I like that. I like that approach to it. And Beth, what do you say to the skeptics out there? I'm sure there are people who say to you,
Yeah, many of them come to the public investigations as a skeptic, and by the time it's over, or even towards the middle of it, they have personal experiences. I mean, just one of the last events at the Railroaders Museum, I think we had at least 2 that were really skeptical, and probably within the first hour, they were like, I believe this now.
I
you know?
believe. So is that what you charge for? If you have a public investigation, you charge people to join you for that?
Correct. We
Right.
don't charge
But you
for a
don't
regular
charge for
investigation.
somebody's home to be investigated.
Right, no.
Okay, so let's
Yeah.
make that clear. If you want to join in on a public investigation, there's a nominal charge. $25 to $40 is very nominal.
Right.
Right.
But if somebody feels that their home is haunted,
Yeah, there's no charge for that.
Yeah, and the entire paranormal community out there will tell you that if anybody's charging to do an investigation or to give the evidence found in an investigation, they are not a credible group.
that's important to know. That's really important to know, because if you do feel that your house is haunted and you do feel uncomfortable in your home and you do want help and somebody would rip you off over something like that, man,
Yeah, we've heard stories.
I don't know how you sleep at night. Let alone, I don't know why the ghosts aren't bugging those people.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth.
Yeah.
What else would you like people to know about what you do?
We're out there, like I said, to find out this information for ourselves, to educate ourselves on this, but to also help those that are having the experiences find out if it's someone just wanting to communicate to the family, if it's somebody stuck in that location, try and get answers for the people that are experiencing it, as well as help out the spirits that may want to make that last communication to us.
Do the ghosts know they're stuck?
Some do, some don't know that they're dead.
Right.
We've
So
come across
it's just
that.
like The Sixth Sense. It sounds like the guy who wrote The Sixth Sense, M. Night Shyamalan, did his research with folks like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found that some spirits can actually trap and hold other spirits in place. Spirits are free to roam around. The little girl in the gift shop, the last few times that we had been there
At the Railroaders Museum.
at the Railroaders Museum, she was not allowed to leave the gift shop from what we understood. And this very last time that we went in, talking to the spirit on the third floor, we've come to believe that the little girl was now able to leave the gift shop and travel throughout the building.
What made you believe that? So there's the little girl in the gift shop at the Railroaders Museum, and then there's another spirit up on the third floor. So what made you think that the little girl was now allowed to travel?
We actually asked if the spirit on the third floor, if the little girl had come up, because we were getting more than one spirit in the room on the third floor at that time.
Okay.
So we were curious as to how many spirits were in there and who they were. So the little girl was then,
Well, I'm glad she's not lonely anymore.
no, she's able to travel throughout the whole building.
Jabba Paranormal Investigators. Your website is,
JabbaParanormal.com.
and you're on Facebook as well?
Correct.
Yes.
Well, Beth and John, it has been a pleasure to have you here today.
Yeah. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.
It's like an education.
Great.
And hopefully we've helped other people who might be experiencing ghosts, and I hope you'll come back again sometime.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This is the Women's Room, and these are Jabba Paranormal Investigators. Look them up online.